I hired her to take care of my daughter. I never expected her to take care of my heart. This is the story of how a simple job interview changed everything I thought I knew about love. They say you can't plan who you fall in love with. I used to think that was just something people said in movies. Then I met Rachel. My name is Jessica. I'm 32 years old, and 2 years ago my entire life fell apart. Divorce does that. It takes everything you thought was solid and shakes it until you don't recognize yourself anymore. One day you're married, planning summer vacations and arguing about whose turn it is to do the dishes. The next, you're signing papers and dividing up furniture like you're splitting up a business. But the worst part was being alone with a 4-year-old who kept asking when Daddy was coming home. Meh. My daughter. My entire world. 4 years old with curls that never stayed brushed and questions that never stopped coming. After the divorce, I threw myself into 2 things: work and her. My marketing job in Denver became my escape. I worked late, took on extra projects, anything to keep my mind busy. But kids don't care about your coping mechanisms. They need you. All of you. And I was barely holding on. That's when I realized I needed help. I spent weeks scrolling through Nanny profiles. Dozens of them. Perfect resumes, professional photos, glowing references. They all blurred together after a while. Too perfect. Too polished. Too much like they were trying to sell me something. Then I saw Rachel. Her profile was simple. No fancy formatting. No professional headshot. Just a regular photo someone had probably taken on their phone. She was smiling, not the practice smile you put on for cameras, but a real one. The kind that reaches your eyes. She had her hair pulled back, wearing a plain sweater, nothing special. But something about that smile made me stop scrolling. 28 years old. Experience with children ages 2 to 8. Degree in early childhood education. References available upon request. I read it 3 times, saved her profile, and before I could overthink it, I sent a message. We set up an interview for the following Tuesday morning. I barely slept the night before. I kept running through questions in my head, trying to figure out what to ask. How to know if someone was right to take care of the most important person in my life. When Tuesday came, I was up at 6, cleaning the kitchen even though it was already clean, checking the time every 5 minutes. She knocked at 7:30 exactly. I opened the door, and there she was. Jeans and a plain t-shirt. Hair tied back in a ponytail. No makeup. Green eyes that looked right at me, not through me. And I felt something shift in my chest. Something I couldn't name. "Hi," I said, probably too quickly. "You must be Rachel. Come in. Thanks for having me." Her voice was soft but clear. Like she wasn't nervous at all, which made me even more nervous. I led her to the kitchen, offered coffee, which she accepted. We sat at my small table, the morning light coming through the window, and I started with the standard questions. Tell me about your experience. What's your approach to discipline? Are you comfortable with pets? We don't have one, but Maya keeps asking. Rachel answered everything thoughtfully. Not rehearsed. She talked about growing up with 2 younger brothers in Boulder. How she'd basically helped raise them. How she'd studied education because she loved watching kids figure things out. That moment when something clicks and their whole face lights up. I was listening, taking mental notes, trying to be professional. But I kept noticing things I shouldn't. The way she wrapped both hands around her coffee mug. How she tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear when she was thinking. The small scar on her left eyebrow that she probably got as a kid. "Can I ask about Maya's routine?" Rachel said, pulling me back. "Oh, of course." I walked her through everything. Wake up at 7. Breakfast, usually something she'll actually eat, which changes daily. Preschool drop-off by 8:30. Pick up at 3. Then it's playtime, dinner, bath, books, bed by 8 if I'm lucky. Rachel listened to everything, asked follow-up questions. What does Maya like to eat? Does she have trouble falling asleep? What are her favorite games? Normal questions. Professional questions. But the way she asked them, like she actually cared about the answers, not just checking boxes. Then we heard it. The padding of small feet on the hallway floor. Maya appeared in the doorway, rubbing her eyes, clutching her stuffed bunny. Her hair was a disaster, sticking up in every direction. She looked at Rachel with that suspicious look kids get around strangers. "Mommy, who's that?" Before I could answer, Rachel stood up and crouched down to Maya's level. Not hovering over her. Not talking down to her. Just meeting her where she was. "Hi," Rachel said gently. "I'm Rachel. Is that your bunny?" Maya nodded, still unsure. "Does your bunny have a name?" "Mr. Flops." "That's a great name. I had a stuffed bear when I was little. His name was Captain." Maya's face softened. "Captain?" "Yeah. Because I thought he was brave enough to be a ship captain." Small smile. "Mr. Flops is brave too. I can tell. Hey, are you hungry? Want some juice?" Maya nodded and walked straight to Rachel like they'd known each other forever. I watched them. Rachel poured juice while Maya chattered about Mr. Flops and her preschool, and how she didn't like peas but she liked carrots. Rachel listened to every word like it was the most interesting thing she'd ever heard. That's when I knew. She was the one. The rest of the morning passed in a blur. Rachel played with Maya, building blocks on the living room floor while I pretended to check emails. But really I was watching. The way Rachel laughed when Maya's tower fell over. How she helped rebuild it without taking over. The tenderness in her eyes when Maya climbed into her lap to show her a book. And I caught myself staring. At her hands as she stacked blocks. At the curve of her neck when she leaned forward. At how natural she looked sitting on my floor in my home with my daughter. I thought, she's perfect for this job. But underneath that thought was something else. Something I didn't want to examine. When it was time for Rachel to leave, Maya actually cried. "Can Rachel stay? She has to go, sweetheart. But maybe she'll come back." I walked Rachel to the door. "The job is yours if you want it. Full-time. You can start Monday." Rachel's face lit up. "Really? Thank you. I promise you won't regret this." But as I closed the door behind her, I had a strange feeling. Not regret. Something else entirely. That night, after Maya was asleep, I sat on the couch with a glass of wine and thought about Rachel's smile. Her green eyes. The way she'd crouched down to meet Maya. And I felt warm in a way I hadn't felt in years. I told myself it meant nothing. She was just good at her job. That's all. Professional. Qualified. Perfect for taking care of Maya. But late at night, when the house was quiet and I was alone with my thoughts, I'd catch myself wondering what her laugh sounded like when she wasn't being professional. What she thought about when she drove home. She ever thought about us. And that scared me more than I wanted to admit. Because I'd been married to a man. I'd never looked at a woman that way. Never even considered it. So why couldn't I stop thinking about Rachel? I finished my wine, turned off the lights, and went to bed. Monday would come soon enough. She'd be our nanny. Nothing more. I'd make sure of it. But even as I told myself that, somewhere deep down I knew I was lying. 3 months in, and my carefully built walls started crumbling. Rachel became part of our routine so seamlessly it was like she'd always been there. Every morning at 7, I'd hear her key in the lock. Maya would jump up from breakfast and run to her. And Rachel would scoop her up like they hadn't just seen each other yesterday. Then I'd grab my bag, kiss Maya goodbye and head to work. Simple. Professional. Exactly what I'd hired her for. Except it wasn't simple anymore. Started small. I'd come home and Rachel would still be there, even though her shift ended at 6. She'd say Maya wanted to finish a puzzle, or they were in the middle of a game and it felt wrong to leave. I'd tell her she didn't have to stay, but I didn't mean it. And I think she knew. We'd end up in the kitchen while Maya played. Rachel would help with dinner without being asked, chopping vegetables while I stirred pasta, and we'd talk. Really talk. Not the surface conversations you have with employees. Deep ones. She told me about growing up in Boulder, about how her dad left when she was 10 and her mom worked 2 jobs to keep them fed. How she practically raised her 2 younger brothers, making sure they did homework and got to school on time. How she'd wanted to be an artist, spent hours drawing in notebooks, but studied education instead because it felt more practical. "Do you still draw?" I asked one evening, handing her a plate to dry. "Sometimes. Not like I used to." She paused, looking at the plate in her hands. "I don't know. After a while, you stop doing the things you love because you convince yourself you're not good enough." I understood that more than she knew. Opened up too. About the divorce. About how my ex-husband didn't cheat or hit me or do anything dramatic. He just stopped seeing me. Stopped asking how my day was. Stopped caring. And one day I woke up and realized I was lonelier married than I'd ever been single. "That must have been hard," Rachel said softly. "Realizing you were alone even when you weren't." "Yeah." I looked at her, and her green eyes were full of something I couldn't name. Understanding. Sympathy. Something more. "But it's better now. Have Maya. Have my work. I have." I stopped myself before I said you. The conversations grew longer. Rachel would stay until 8, then 9. We'd sit on the couch after Maya went to bed, tea in our hands, talking about everything and nothing. Old movies she loved. Books I'd been meaning to read. Places we wanted to travel. Dreams we'd given up on. And I started noticing things I shouldn't. The way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was concentrating. How her whole face changed when she smiled, like someone had turned on a light. The sound of her laugh, warm and genuine, nothing held back. The way my heart sped up when I heard her key in the door each morning. I told myself it was friendship. I was lonely and she was kind and it was nice to have another adult to talk to. That's all. But then why did I spend 20 minutes picking out what to wear in the morning? Why did I find excuses to work from home so I could see her more? Why did I feel a surge of jealousy when she mentioned getting coffee with a friend? One Saturday I took the day off and suggested we all go to the park. Sloan's Lake, the one near our house. It was a beautiful day, warm sun, clear sky, and Maya was thrilled to have both of us. We walked around the lake, Maya running ahead, and Rachel and I followed side by side. Our hands kept brushing as we walked. Just accidents. But each time it happened, electricity shot through me. Maya got tired halfway through, and Rachel picked her up without hesitation, carrying her on her hip. I watched them together, Maya's head on Rachel's shoulder, and something in my chest cracked open. "She's lucky to have you," I said quietly. Rachel looked at me. "I'm the lucky one." We found a bench and sat while Maya played on the grass. The sun was setting, painting everything gold, and I couldn't stop looking at Rachel. The light in her hair. The curve of her jaw. The way she watched Maya with such tenderness. "She's just like you know," Rachel said, still watching Maya. "Stubborn. Won't give up until she gets something right." I laughed. "Is that a compliment?" Rachel turned to me, and her eyes held mine for a long moment. "Too long." "Yeah, it is." I looked away first, heart pounding. After that day I couldn't pretend anymore. Not to myself anyway. I was attracted to her. Not just as a friend. Not just as someone I admired. I wanted her in a way I'd never wanted anyone. And it terrified me. I'd never looked at a woman this way. Never even considered it. I'd been married to a man. Dated men in college. This wasn't me. This wasn't who I was. But every time Rachel was near me, all those certainties dissolved. I started flirting without meaning to. Little comments I couldn't take back. "You look nice today," I'd say when she wore a new sweater. "You're the best nanny I've ever had," when she made Maya's favorite dinner. "I don't know what we'd do without you," late at night on the couch, my voice softer than it should be. Rachel would smile, say thank you, but never pushed further. Sometimes I'd catch her looking at me with an expression I couldn't read. Like she wanted to say something but didn't. Maybe she felt it too. Maybe I was imagining it. I didn't know, and I was too afraid to find out. The tension built for weeks. Every conversation felt charged. Every accidental touch felt deliberate. I'd lie awake at night thinking about her. About what it would feel like to hold her hand. To touch her face. To kiss her. Then I'd feel sick with guilt. What was wrong with me? She was younger. She was my employee. This was inappropriate. Dangerous. Wrong. But my heart didn't care about any of that. One evening everything changed. Maya had fallen asleep early, exhausted from preschool. Rachel was about to leave when I asked if she wanted to stay and watch a movie. She'd been recommending old films for weeks, and I'd finally found one on streaming. "Are you sure?" she asked. "Yeah. I want to see what all the fuss is about." We settled on the couch, not close but not far. The movie started, black and white, romantic and slow. I tried to focus on the screen, but I was hyper-aware of Rachel beside me. The warmth of her. The smell of her shampoo. The way she curled her legs under her. Halfway through, there was a scene where the two leads finally kissed. Passionate, inevitable, like they'd been fighting it the whole film and couldn't anymore. "That's beautiful," I whispered, not thinking. Rachel turned to me. "What is that?" "The way they kiss. Like they've been waiting forever." The air between us shifted, thickened. Rachel's eyes were on mine, and I couldn't breathe. "Jessica," she whispered. And then she leaned in. Her lips touched mine. Tentative. Asking permission. Froze. My entire body went rigid. Every alarm in my head screamed. But I didn't pull away. Couldn't. Didn't want to. She kissed me again, slower this time, like she was afraid I'd stop her. Her hand came up and brushed my cheek, so gentle it almost hurt. Everything inside me melted. Every fear, every doubt, every principle I'd built my life on just disappeared. There was only her. Only this. I kissed her back. My lips pressed against hers, and it was like breathing for the first time. Like every breath before this had been practice. Her mouth was soft and warm, and I tasted tea on her lips. Tasted her. The kiss deepened. Her arms wrapped around my neck. I held her waist, pulling her closer, and nothing had ever felt this right. This perfect. We pulled apart, both breathing hard, and looked at each other. Her eyes were wide, scared, searching mine for something. She started. "Mommy." We both froze. Maya's voice, small and sleepy, coming from the hallway. I turned and there she was, standing in her princess pajamas, rubbing her eyes, her bunny dragging on the floor beside her. My heart stopped. All the air left the room. Rachel's hand fell from my face and she shifted away from me so fast she nearly fell off the couch. "Mommy, why is Rachel still here?" I couldn't speak. My mouth opened but no words came out. Beside me Rachel had gone pale. Rachel started, standing up. "I should go. Sorry. I should." "No, wait," I managed, but my voice was shaking. Maya walked closer, still half asleep, not understanding what she'd seen or what it meant. She looked at Rachel, then at me, confused. "Why are you both sad?" "We're not sad, baby," I said, trying to sound normal and failing. Rachel was just, we were just. "Can Rachel do bedtime stories too?" Maya asked suddenly, yawning. "Like a sleepover." I stared at my daughter. Rachel stared at her. Neither of us moved. "I want Rachel to stay," Maya continued, climbing onto the couch between us. "Like when Aunt Lisa stays over." "Can she?" The innocence in her voice broke something in me. She didn't see anything wrong. Didn't see anything strange. She just wanted Rachel to stay. Rachel's eyes filled with tears. I saw her throat move as she swallowed hard. If that's okay with your mom, Rachel whispered. Maya looked at me with those big eyes. Please, Mommy. I looked at Rachel. At this woman I'd been fighting my feelings for. At her scared, hopeful face. At everything that had just happened and everything that could happen. Okay, I heard myself say. Rachel can stay. Maya cheered and threw her arms around both of us. Rachel let out a breath that sounded like a sob. I wrapped my arms around them both, my daughter and the woman I'd just kissed, and felt the world tilt beneath me. After Maya went back to bed with Rachel reading her 3 extra stories, we sat in silence. Not the comfortable kind. The kind that holds 1,000 questions nobody knows how to ask. Finally Rachel spoke, her voice barely audible. What do we do now? I looked at her. At her red-rimmed eyes and trembling hands. At everything I'd been denying for months. I don't know, I admitted. But for the first time in 2 years, I want to find out. She reached across the space between us and took my hand. And I held on. They say the truth will set you free. But first it has to scare you half to death. That night, after Maya finally fell asleep for real, Rachel and I sat at my kitchen table until 3 in the morning. We didn't touch. Didn't kiss again. We just talked. Really talked. How long have you felt this way? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Rachel stared at her hands. Since the 2nd week. Maybe before that. I don't know. I tried to ignore it. Told myself I was imagining things. She looked up at me, eyes glistening. But then you'd look at me a certain way or laugh at something I said, and I'd feel it all over again. I thought I was going crazy, I admitted. I was married to a man. I never looked at women. Not like this. Does that scare you? Terrified. I reached across the table and took her hand. But not as much as losing you does. Her fingers squeezed mine. So what do? We decided to try. Carefully. Quietly. To see if what we felt was real or just loneliness wrapped up in attraction. The next morning I woke up to Rachel still on my couch, blanket wrapped around her, hair messy, and my heart did that flip again. Maya found her first, climbed on top of her, and demanded pancakes. Rachel looked at me over Maya's head, smiled that soft smile, and I knew. This was real. But real came with complications. First, we had to deal with the nanny situation. I couldn't keep paying Rachel to take care of Maya when what I really wanted was for her to be with us. With me. Felt wrong. Dishonest. So I sat her down and said, I need to let you go as Maya's nanny. Her face went white. What? Not from our lives. God, not from our lives. But I can't employ you and date you. That's not fair to either of us. I took her hands. I want you here as you. Not as someone I hired. Rachel's eyes filled with tears. You really mean that? I've never meant anything more. We found a new nanny within 2 weeks. An older woman named Patricia who Maya liked well enough. And Rachel came over not as an employee, but as mine. Those early days were careful. We didn't tell anyone yet. We'd have dinner together, the 3 of us, like a family. Then after Maya went to bed, Rachel and I would curl up on the couch, sometimes talking, sometimes just holding each other. I learned things about her I'd never known. That she was afraid of thunderstorms but loved the rain. That she cried during happy movie endings but stayed dry-eyed during sad ones. That she hummed when she cooked and tapped her fingers when she was thinking. She learned about me too. My coffee order. The way I needed exactly 8 hours of sleep or I was useless. How I hated surprises but loved spontaneity. That I was terrified of letting people down. You couldn't let anyone down if you tried, she told me one night, kissing my forehead. A month in, Rachel started bringing overnight bags. Then she just stopped leaving. Her toothbrush appeared next to mine. Her shampoo in my shower. Her books on my nightstand. Move in with me, I said one morning, watching her make coffee in my kitchen like she'd done it 1,000 times. She turned spatula in hand. "Are you serious? I don't want you to leave anymore. I don't want mornings without you. Move in." Officially. She moved in that weekend. Maya was ecstatic. She helped Rachel unpack, putting her clothes in drawers, hanging pictures on the walls. "Rachel lives here now," she announced to everyone at preschool. "She's ours." But the outside world was harder. My mom came over for dinner 2 weeks after Rachel moved in. She noticed immediately the way Rachel and I moved around each other in the kitchen. How our hands would find each other without thinking. The single bedroom we disappeared into to get something. After Maya went to bed, Mom cornered me in the kitchen. "Jessica, I need to ask you something, and I want you to be honest with me." My stomach dropped. "Okay. Are you and Rachel together? Like together? I couldn't lie to her. "Yes." Mom was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "She makes you happy. More than I've ever been. And Maya loves her. You've seen them together." Mom nodded slowly, processing. Then she pulled me into a hug. "Then that's all I need to know. Life's too short to waste on anything but happiness." I cried into her shoulder. I'd been so scared, and she'd just given me permission to be myself. Rachel's brothers were different. When she told them, they laughed at first. Thought she was joking. Then they saw her face and realized she wasn't. "Wait, you're serious?" the older one, Mike, said. "You're with a woman." "I'm with Jessica," Rachel corrected. "And she has a daughter. And we're happy." There was tension at first. Awkward family dinners where no one knew what to say. But then Mike came over one Saturday to help fix my fence, and he watched Maya follow Rachel around the yard, mimicking everything she did. "She really loves her, doesn't she?" he said to me. "More than anything." He hammered another nail in silence, then said, "You know what? Good for her. Good for both of you. She found her person." After that, things got easier. We still didn't broadcast it. At preschool pickups in the Cherry Creek neighborhood, we were just 2 women picking up a kid. Sometimes people assumed we were sisters, sometimes friends. We didn't correct them unless asked directly. Maya had her own way of explaining it. When kids asked about her family, she'd shrug and say, "That's my mommy and my Rachel." To her it was simple, normal. Love was love. Maybe that's what we lose as we grow up. That simplicity. Rachel started drawing again. Really drawing, not just doodles on napkins. She'd sit at the kitchen table after dinner, sketch pad open, pencil moving across paper. She drew Maya sleeping, curls spread across her pillow. Me laughing at something on TV. The 3 of us on the couch, tangled together. She finished one drawing and framed it. 3 stick figures holding hands. One tall with long hair. One medium with short hair. One tiny with curly hair. Underneath, in Maya's handwriting, it said, "Our family." Rachel hung it in the hallway. I pass it every single day, and every single day it makes me smile. We built routines. Saturday morning pancakes became sacred. Rachel flipped them, Maya poured way too much syrup, and I cut fruit that nobody really ate. We'd sit at the table, Maya chattering about preschool drama, and I'd look at Rachel across from me and think, this is it. This is everything. Bedtimes were a production. 3 books, one chosen by each of us. Rachel read with different voices for each character. I did the silly ones that made Maya giggle. Then lights out, kisses from both of us, and finally it was just us. Those nights were my favorite. Rachel and I would lie in bed, her head on my chest, my fingers running through her hair, and we'd talk about the future. Not big, scary plans. Just little ones. "I want to take you both somewhere warm," Rachel said one night. "Somewhere with a beach. Watch Maya build sandcastles. She'd love that. Maybe we could get a dog. A small one. Maya would lose her mind." Rachel was quiet for a moment. I've been thinking about opening a small art studio. For kids. Here in Colorado. Teach them to draw, to paint. Help them find what they love. I lifted her chin so I could see her face. You should. You'd be amazing at that. You think. I know. We'd fall asleep like that, wrapped around each other, and I'd wake up before them sometimes just to watch. Rachel's arm draped over Maya, both of them breathing in the same rhythm. My two favorite people in the entire world. Some mornings I'd lie there and think about how close I came to never having this. How I almost let fear win. How I almost convinced myself that love had rules and I didn't fit inside them. Turns out love doesn't have rules. Just fits. And Rachel fit. Maya fit. We fit. A year and a half after that first kiss, Maya asked the question I'd been dreading. We were having breakfast, normal Saturday chaos, when she looked up from her pancakes and said, "Will Rachel always live with us?" Rachel's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. I felt my heart skip. "Why do you ask, sweetheart?" "Because Lily at school said her dad's girlfriend moved out. And I don't want Rachel to move out. Ever." Rachel looked at me, and I saw everything in her eyes. Fear. Oh, love. I reached across the table and took both their hands. "Yes," I said. "Rachel will always be with us." Maya cheered, syrup-covered face breaking into the biggest smile. "Forever." "Forever," Rachel said, her voice cracking. "Pinky promise." Maya held out her tiny pinky. Rachel linked her pinky with Maya's, then reached for mine. "Pinky promise." We sat there, the three of us connected, and Rachel started crying. Happy tears, the kind she always got at endings that weren't really endings at all. I held them both, my daughter and the woman who'd changed everything, and felt complete. This is home. Not the house. Not the city. Not even Colorado. Home is Rachel's laugh in the morning. Maya's hand in mine. The three of us on the couch after a long day. Saturday pancakes and bedtime stories and stick figure drawings on the wall. It's not perfect. We argue sometimes about whose turn it is to do dishes. Maya has tantrums. Work gets stressful. Bills pile up. Normal life stuff. But it's ours. And it's real. A year and a half ago, I was looking for someone to help me raise my daughter. Instead, I found someone who helped me become myself. Rachel didn't just take care of Maya. She took care of the parts of me I didn't know were broken. The parts that thought love only came in one shape, one form, one acceptable package. And Maya. She never needed an explanation. Love was just love to her. Maybe that's what we all forget as we grow up. That love isn't complicated. We are. But when you find the right person, someone who fits into your life like they were always meant to be there, suddenly it all becomes simple again. Last night I was putting Maya to bed and she said something that made me stop. "Mommy, when I grow up, I want to love someone like you love Rachel." "Yeah. How's that?" "Like you can't stop smiling. Like they're your best friend. Like home." I kissed her forehead, tucked Mr. Flops beside her and whispered, "That's the only way to love someone, baby. Like home. This is our story. Imperfect. Unexpected. Unconventional, maybe. But real. So real it sometimes takes my breath away. I found love where I least expected it. In green eyes and gentle hands. In someone who saw me, really saw me, and didn't look away. In someone who loved my daughter like her own. In someone who taught me that the only rule love has is that there are no rules. Just fit. Just home. Just us. And I wouldn't change a single moment. Not the fear. Not the doubt. Not even the terrifying instant when Maya walked in and I thought everything would fall apart. Because all of it led here. To Saturday mornings and bedtime stories. To a stick figure drawing in my hallway. To waking up with Rachel's arm around me and knowing I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. They say you can't plan who you fall in love with. They're right. But maybe that's the point. Maybe the best things in life are the ones you never see coming. The ones that crack you open and rebuild you into someone you never knew you could be. Rachel taught me that. Maya reminded me. And together, they gave me something I'd spent my whole life searching for without knowing it. This is home.